never going to find another job. Employers are going to look at you and not trust you. You're creating a bad reputation for yourself. Have you heard any of these things? If you have, today we're going to talk all about how to explain your job hopping history. So let's get started. Hello, hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Chelsea J Experience, where I give you uncensored and unfiltered advice on all things career and business, because I made all the mistakes so you don't have to. And today we're talking about another one of my favorite topics, and it is job hopping. Job hopping. All right, so you guys know that my specialty, well, maybe you didn't know, let me actually explain this. As a resume writer and career coach, I actually specialize in working with job hoppers, helping them find clarity, explain their history, as well as finding an organization that they don't want to hop from. And for a while, that was my tagline. I help job hoppers find work they do not want to leave. But now it's a little bit different on LinkedIn, but I still do help job hoppers, and it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart because, full disclosure, I was a certified job hopper early in my career. I can tell you that by the time I was 25, I probably had about 20 different professional roles. And that's off the top of my head. I would have to sit down and actually count them out. Okay, so today's topic, we are going to talk all about how to explain your job hopping history. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say that the beautiful thing about 2022 and beyond, I'm sure, is that employers no longer expect for employees to stick with them for 10, 20, 30 years and retire from there. That is no longer the expectation just because we are no longer living in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Employers no longer have those long-term benefits like pensions, which was a big one. A lot of employers now don't even pay for school anymore, which was another big one back in the day. And I think that a lot of those benefits is what attracted employees and what kept employees, even if they were a crap employer, right? That incentive of having a pension was huge, and knowing that you or your children's school would be paid for is big enough and amazing enough for you to actually just tough it out, right? But employers don't have that anymore nowadays, and there are so many other employers who offer different benefits and different opportunities that they realize that employees will leave, especially once you start treating them like crap and not really caring about their best interests or not offering the flexibility that they need. So that is currently working in a job hopper's favor, right? Another thing that works in a job hopper's favor is the ability to gain skills and experience very quickly, as opposed to, someone who may stay, and I don't want to say this like this, but I'm just going to say it. You guys know how I am. If you have moved around and an employer has seen that you have gained a lot of skills and experience in different areas, you are a bigger asset than someone who has stayed at the same company for 10 or more years. Why is that? Because if you have stayed at the same company for the past 10 years in the same role, they are not able to see your growth. And, I won't get into that. We will just move on. Okay, let's talk about how you explain your job hopping history. First of all, you need to have a clear understanding of how and why this whole job hopping thing happened, right? So for me personally, I job hopped because I landed in a lot of toxic environments back to back to back again. And I found myself in those areas and I was like, I can't be here, I need to escape. So first of all, you need to have a clear understanding of what your reason is and address that. Now, the reason may not always be bad. Think about it. Did you take a temporary assignment? Were you on a contract? Were you working on a grant? Or did you dive into a job that you realized wasn't really a good fit? Did that job do a bait and switch that you jumped in? Whatever it is, you need to have a clear understanding of why you are job hopping so that you can better own your story and explain it. Because when it comes to talking about your history, your work history, owning it with confidence is key. What you want to do is own your story before someone else tries to tell it for you. Sorry, guys, you know I'm super animated with my hands and I get into these conversations. But you always want to own your story so that no one can shame you for it, right? And you want to know the reasons as to why you did what you did so that either you can make some changes or tweaks or improvements or, move forward with it, right? So get comfortable with owning your story and your reason why. Number two, get comfortable with creating a vision for your future, right? I am pretty sure that job hopping happened probably out of your control, or at least a little bit out of your control. Or maybe you just wanted a higher salary or a better title. Whatever that is, think about how your job hopping ties into your future goal, because that's something that you also want to be able to explain to employers after you own your story confidently, right? Talk about your vision for the future. Think about what you want to do next. Now, when you go in and you actually talk about your job hopping experience, focus on what you've gained and what you've learned from all the experience that you've had so far, right? So, and I guess this goes into number three. Do not see job hopping as a negative, right? It's all about perspective. And when you are talking to an employer, you need to be able to bring them into that perspective and share with them your reasoning, your goals, what you want to do next. You need to be able to bring them in to that story. And don't paint a negative picture on it. I know that I've interviewed people and they've told me up front, well, I know I've hopped around a lot, and I didn't mean to. It was just this and that. Nope, I need you to be a little bit more confident, and I need you to take me through the reasons why you job hopped and tell me what's next, right? Okay, so that's kind of an overview of how you can own your story, how you can share your story, how you need to, walk with confidence and think about a vision for the future. So now you're like, okay, Chelsea, all of that sounds great. How on earth am I going to explain this in an interview? Ba-da-ba-bum. Don't worry about it. I got you. So when you walk into a room and the interviewer looks at your resume and says, you seem like a job hopper, or you've moved around a lot, explain yourself. This is where you get to take ownership of your story, your vision, and your future, and the skills that you've gained. And you get to put a positive spin on it, right? So first of all, I would say, yes, I'm so glad you noticed that. I have moved around quite a bit. And during the time that I was moving around, I learned, talk about some of the biggest lessons that you learned during your time of moving around, right? You also want to talk about what your goal is for your overall career and bring them into that. Say, my ultimate goal in my career is to do this and to expand my knowledge in this. And then let them know what your vision for the future is. A lot of employers want to hear what your intention is. So do you have a strong intention of staying with them and growing with them? Say that. And say it with a smile, say it with ease. Don't, shake or tremble or, constantly use those filler, I don't know. Say it with confidence. Just throw it right on out there. You guys probably want a better example from me. And now I have to think off the top of my head, which is fine. But if someone were to say to me today, hey, Chelsea, I noticed that you moved around quite a bit. And let me say this before I give you an answer. I believe in full transparency because when we are honest with sharing our stories, that is how we make human connection with other people. And when we are fully transparent, that creates immediate trust. And you always want to create, trust and openness in the room that you are in whenever you are interviewing. So right now, if somebody said, "Hey, Chelsea, I noticed that you hopped around a lot in your career. Please explain this to me." I would say, "You are absolutely correct. And I did hop around. And I'm happy you noticed that and brought it up because that is actually something that I enjoy talking about. During my early career, I took on a lot of contract and grant roles because I was really into building programs within the community and seeing an immediate difference. Now, one of the things that I also wanted to do was gain skills in grant management, leadership, proposal development, and event planning extremely quickly. So doing these type of positions allowed me to do that, and it also allowed me to move up the ladder quicker. And I knew that I needed to gain that experience, that exposure, and those titles because ultimately I knew that I wanted to work for your organization in this capacity. And I wanted to have an impressive portfolio to present to you before I approached you. Smile. And that's off the top of my head, guys, okay? If we talked a little bit more and you gave me your situation and your specific background, I could craft a good response for you. But I want to point out that my response was open, honest, it hit on all the points, and it also shared my vision for the future with them, giving them some reassurance. And I've had to do that a lot in my career, and it has worked for me and it has worked for my clients as well. Honesty is key. Owning your story is key. As soon as you start stuttering and start kind of backpedaling and not really like, I don't want to explain it, that is when you start to have issues in the interview. But I don't want to keep you guys for too much longer. I just wanted to kind of briefly go over how you can address job hopping in the interview. If you guys want me to do, a video on how to address job hopping on a resume, I'm happy to do that as well. You just need to leave that in the comments and let me know, or even reach out to me anytime. You guys know my email address is chelsea@seasonandgrowing.com. But again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and interact and share and all that fun stuff. I really appreciate you more than you know. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And until next time, bye.